Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? The sound's working. I'm happy. Just a quiet day. Went to the pool already. And let me say hey to Daria. It's hard. She's working now, so she can't text me. And I'll see she's online. He says, well, work's really strict. I can't text you while I'm at work. And I'm like, I can only text my family. Okay. Whatever. So, what do we have? I'm amazed that people are so clueless. I mean, I'm watching a football game or anything, and everybody's just going along like no big deal, nothing unusual. And I'm just sitting there going, all these people are going to be broke, and they don't know it. And I guess I would wonder what happened at the end of Madoff, right? Or at the end of Attack on Wall Street, like when a guy learns he's lost his money. All right, we'll see what he does. He kills everybody. But near the end of Madoff, and all of a sudden, Madoff's arrested. You have zero money. What kind of warning did they have? Not understanding it was a Ponzi scheme, knowing they needed money to keep it going, they would have been just blown away because they wouldn't have known anything. Were the Attack on Wall Street guy or the whatever that other, the Big Short, you have real estate trusts. So do you know the market? So in other words, if the market crashes and people can't pay their mortgages, I'm going to get fucked. Do they understand A to get to B as we do Titanic, right? There's a hole in the boat. Yeah, it's probably going to sink. Just a guess. The water's coming in the boat. I think it might sink. So what warning do the people have? And the government's doing a good job, i.e. the banks are doing a good job at not really letting you know that, like, there's the housing crisis. Like, did they say there's a housing crisis? Did they say people aren't paying their mortgages, so everybody with a writ, you're going to get fucked? Did they say that? I would say no. So people are blindsided. Where now it's more of a cover-up. Well, we're printing all this money. We have all this debt. Yeah, we're probably the money's probably gonna be worthless soon. It's hard to put 2 and 2 to get to 4 without somebody like me to explain the game. So you're sitting there. Oh, there's a war in Ukraine. Oh, the damn Russians. Oh, there's a war in Israel. Oh, the damn Hamas. The damn Irans. We're responsible for the wars. The money supply is huge. What do we do? And so you're really, what can you do do you understand? Can you follow the dots in that scenario is my question. Do you know that the inflation's really high, that the dollar's going to zero, and you need to buy gold? There's no roadmap for that. This is what I fear is happening to most people. Even when I try to tell you to buy gold, not you, but other people, they don't get it. I get two comments. I've been oil stocks or I don't have any money. And I'm like, how are you living now then? That's what kills me about that. I don't know if they're telling the truth or they just are trying to be polite and say, look, kid, we don't want to hear from you. I don't want to buy gold. I don't understand it. I can't tell which way it is. However, what I do know is that's the only out. So that's why I kind of get tired of trying to tell people who I really don't know. People I do know, I've already talked to, who agree with me. All we do, well, here comes Putin. He's going to start backing the ruble by gold. That's why I asked Daria to tell us, because we really won't know. Even if they say the ruble is getting backed by gold, I don't think nobody will connect the dots that the gold price has got to go up. So just like the Madoff Ponzi scheme kept going and going, and nobody could really do anything because he was paying everybody. So the question is, how long will the dollar go, and how long will they be able to suppress the gold and silver price? We all know it's bullshit, but how long can they keep it going? And that's the dangerous problem, is we know it's a scam, but they keep doing it anyway. And they keep getting away with it because it's their game. But let's do derivatives, keep the gold price down. Oh, okay. And JP Morgan and whoever else does it. And nobody really, it benefits the people doing it. So therefore, there's no incentive to stop it, I guess. So our key is going to be we need competition, which is Russia, China. The whole thing comes down to Russia, China is how it'll stop. Because they got the gold and they want the price to go up. Well, there's two people. There's one person who has gold and wants the price to go up, and there's another person that doesn't have gold that's clueless. So the people with the gold want the price to go up. Russia, China, and the BRICS countries. Those without the gold, half of America, or 95% of it, who for some reason don't understand the dollar will go to zero. It's let's keep printing, let's keep printing. And that's really the problem, I think. I think if they knew the dollar would go to zero, they might not keep doing it, because I don't know the benefit of having the currency go to zero and now you don't have currency. There's no benefit to anybody by doing that, right? The rich don't get richer if the value of the dollar goes to zero. Nobody gets rich unless you're in gold. Anybody holding paper, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Clinton, Bush, all these government guys. It doesn't benefit them to have $2-3 billion worth that are worthless. The only thing that benefits them is if they have gold and then the gold price goes up. So why they're not doing that, I don't know. That would make a lot more sense because you can't fuck the gold price up, right? You can't print gold. Now, maybe they want to be able to print dollars and they don't know. I doubt that a Gates or a Zuckerberg or any of these buffets would even know that. I don't think they would know that if I keep printing the dollar to go to zero. I think they just, oh, we can print. Let's keep printing. Nothing can happen. Where this all came from is in the 1930s. I've been looking forward to my notes where FDR, the worst president in the history of life, decides to hire Keynes as his finance guy. So Keynes is around in World War II and before from the Keynesian school, and he was a wartime economist because we got to spend more. So he didn't want gold because they needed to spend to buy ammunition and rifles and boats and tanks and planes. So you needed money. So that's why he didn't want to be on gold. But that was only because of the war, not the way you run it normally, which gets left out in a lot of the things. So he's sitting there and he says, well, let's get all the gold. They confiscated the gold. And then it was like, let's print money. We'll just keep printing to pay for the war. And so that's where this comes from. And in his mind, you didn't want gold. He wanted the government to keep printing, but he was proven wrong when everything collapsed. And that's when England collapsed and everybody did because he doesn't get, you can't print it. So at what point does it just end? Is it just like attack on Wall Street? Oh yeah, your 60 grand's worthless. Is it going to be like Madoff where all of a sudden it's gone? Madoff went to jail today. Oh, fuck, my $2.5 million in the Madoff account, I guess, is gone. That's the other part. And then you're found out by the guy, and he makes you give it back. Well, it was ill-gotten. I didn't know it was a Ponzi scheme. What the fuck are you talking about? Why would I give the money back? I came about it honestly. I wasn't the one doing the Ponzi scheme. That would have been my answer. It's like, it's like if I win money at poker or on football bets. Well, we want our money back because Joe lost money betting on football. And you won money betting on football, so you got to give your money back to Joe. I can't help it if Joe's an idiot and he bets the wrong teams and he lost. And I can't help it that we can pick and we won. Why do we got to pay Joe? Because we won and he lost. That's about the size of the whole Madoff thing. But at what point did they just realize they lost when he went to jail? When he said, oh, he's been convicted, he's been found out he's doing a Ponzi. Is that when they knew they were fucked? I don't even know if they knew they were fucked. From what I hear on these Madoff commentaries, the one CFO couldn't believe he didn't have gold stuck in Europe somewhere. Wait a minute, you got all this money and you bought houses and boats for yourself, but you didn't buy any gold for it's not backed by any. You just took the money. So that's Madoff at least should have bought gold. So anyway, so we buy the gold because we know it's the only out. And we know it's the only out because all the other paper money is not backed by gold. So I think the initial premise is you must back whatever currency, fiat or not, or metal. If it's gold, you don't back it. You have the gold. If it's paper currency, backed by the faith of the government, it's got to be backed by gold. And if it isn't, it's going to go to zero because these crooks are just going to print and print and print. Who else would get into government? I love these guys that it's a $60,000 a year job and they got $12 million like Biden. He's been in the government for 50 years making nothing, but he's got 12 houses and he gets all these payouts from Russia and China and everything. Anyway, So this will be interesting to find that out from us on the standpoint of we have the gold. We're just waiting for it to go up. And it gets a little frustrating. Like, come on, I'm not working. I really don't want to go back to work. I want to retire. I want to prove to Jenna that I know what I'm talking about. That, oh, this gold doesn't have a value. I know I'm right. I don't really need, I don't want it to prove I was right. I know I'm right. I just want it so everybody in our family makes money on their silver and gold already. And really the dollar's out. I mean, it's really worthless. But it's part of the Ponzi scheme. If you go to Target or Meijer's or Kroger's, they got to take it. Now, it's a whole lot more for ketchup and mayonnaise and Coca-Cola and chocolate. Cost a lot more. Well, from $2 to $5 is a lot. But what do? You blame Hershey's and Coca-Cola. You don't blame the inflation because they don't explain inflation to you. So you think, oh shit, look at these assholes. Nestle's raised the price on M&Ms. I know it's not Nestle. M&Ms, they raised the price to $5 a bag. Oh, those assholes. It's them. And partly it is them, but we still are the market. So he says, no, I'm not paying for it. Then you'll start seeing M&Ms buy one, get one free. So really it's $2.50 a bag if you want to have 2 bags of M&Ms or something. That's where it really gets the point. But that's what they're trying to make you believe is they're evil because of the inflation. They're raising their prices. Toyota is raising their prices. GM and Ford, they're raising their prices. They're not. It's the dollar that has no value. But if they told you that, then you'd run out and buy gold. So you're not buying gold because gold's down like $20 today. And you're like, why the fuck's gold? Hey, Greg and John, why the fuck's gold down? It's not because of supply and demand. This is the biggest misconception about gold. So gold right now is at 2032, down $27. Well, it's all fantasy. Silver's still a steal at $22.91, down 73 cents. Why is it down? Because they're printing derivatives. They're fake. They're bullshit. They're made off derivatives. That's why it's down. Not because people don't want gold or, gold's value is down. Why would gold's value be down when inflation's 20%? So that's really where they trick you. You don't really understand the question. You're too naive to realize what's going on. So you sit there and go, well, I don't want to buy gold. Look, it doesn't move. And you almost treat gold like Microsoft. Well, I can buy Microsoft or I can buy Bitcoin. Look, they move. Well, they're also being manipulated. But see, they want the stock market to look good. Here's the election Bobby asked yesterday, 2024. Well, look at the stock market's at 37,000. The economy must be doing well. Oh, the economy sucked. The only reason it's there is you're printing money and putting it into the market. You're manipulating it. And how long are you going to be able to do that? Until the foreigners realize the dollar's worth to sell their stock. And when they sell, they're all going to sell at once because they're just going to get out of dollars. And that's what's coming and soon. So there's either going to be the banks crashing because they've got to print money to pay your money markets. So as we said, you got $100,000 in the bank. They got to pay you interest on it. Where are they going to get their money? Feeder fund. It's just the same as Madoff. That's probably where you got the idea. You need new people putting money into the bank so they can pay your interest, or they get it from the Fed. They just print money. Oh, we got to give the professor his 4% on his 100,000. So let's print it, and there it is in his account. So he thinks that we are solvent, and that's just not. That's how they're getting it. It's the same thing as Madoff. They need another investor who puts money into the bank, and this is why banks will go under as people start pulling their money out. they're going to have to, they have to come up with 50, let's say I got 50 grand. They had to come up with my 50 grand. Now I took it to the gold. I got out of the system, but they needed the 50 grand. So where did they get the money to give me? From the Federal Reserve. They ordered it. And then how do they pay the Federal Reserve back? And then there's more people like me pulling their money out, or even if they leave it in and then now they're getting 4 or 5% interest, where are they getting the money for it? People aren't running to the bank. People are pulling their money out of the bank. This is where the banking crash will happen as it goes to 5%. And as people maybe put their money back into the bank, please don't, they got to come up with the money to pay them. Did you ever think and ask, go to the bank next time, ask the manager, where do you get the money to pay my interest? See what she says, because it'll be a woman probably. See what she says. Where are you getting the money? Well, we get it from the Federal Reserve will be her answer. So in other words, they're printing the money, and you can't just make it up. The bank should have taken my 50 grand and invested it in bonds, or they loan it out. So there's two ways the banks work. They put it in bonds, getting more than the 5%, or they loan it out for houses and cars. They charge you 8% and take the 8% and give me 5%. They keep 3%. That's how a bank works. They loan out your money is the object of a bank. So I'm a bank. Bobby gives me 100,000, and I'm going to give Bobby 5%. How do I do this? Well, Greg and John's got to give me money. How is that different than Madoff, right? If nobody else gives me money, how can I pay Bobby his 5%? Well, the only way I can do it is to lend out his 100. What was it? 100,000. Let's say it's 100. I got to loan out the 100,000 to Greg and John, who wants a car. So Greg and John wants $50,000 car, and Luke wants a $50,000 car. So I loan it to him at 9 or 10%. And with their payments, I then take part of it and give it to Bobby. That's the scheme of a bank. So the money he gives me, I work it, and I lend it out. And that's the best way, is to lend it out. That's why you need people with good credit, and then you lend it out at a higher rate than you give Bobby. So you need Bobby's money. Without Bobby's money, you can't lend it out. The bank's closed. So if there's no more Bobby's money, or Greg, John, and Luke start defaulting on their car payments, I'm fucked. And that's what happened to Credit Suisse. The Saudi prince or king or whoever he was with the oil pulled out $10 billion out of Credit Suisse. He just said, no, I don't want my money there. And he took the money out. I guess he probably bought gold with it. He probably wanted to do what I did. He took the money to buy gold. That's what I think the Saudi would have done. So he pulls out the money. Well, Credit Suisse is fucked because they don't have $10 billion just sitting there to pay him. So they had to, take the money, and then they closed because they didn't have it. And then maybe people are stuck. So the biggest problem that's going to happen is people will not be able to pay back. This is where the banks are in trouble. Not only am I pulling out my money to buy gold, so they don't have my money to use, and they had to come up with roughly about 90,000 to give me. So I bought gold over different time periods, not all at once, but probably over 2 or 3 months. I pulled out 30 grand here and 20 grand there, and ran to the gold store and bought my gold coins and put them in my safe. So I'm out of money before it went to zero. So you're really racing the clock. So when I hear some of my friends go, well, I'll buy it later. I want to wait. It's a 401k. I go, you don't have, A, you're going to be lucky if you can get your money out of the bank. B, you're going to be lucky if the money even has a value. And then C, you're going to be lucky if you can still catch gold at 2,000 and the guy has the gold. Because as it's being demanded, there isn't any gold left. So this is where we're waiting. We know the plot. We know the game. Or in wrestling, we know we know Stone Cold's going to win the match, but we don't know how, right? We know he's going to do the stunner, win the match, but we don't know. We don't know how. We don't know how long the match is, and we don't know how he's going to win it, but we know he'll win it. As the Titanic sinks, we know gold price will go way up. We know the dollar will go out, but we don't know the game. We don't know the match. How is it going to do it? We know why. We know you can't print it. That's why it goes to zero. And we know why gold isn't priced higher, because it's bullshit. It's totally fake. That's why I don't look at today. I just tell you, but it doesn't bother me one way or the other, because I know that's not a real price. That's a derivative paper price that's fixed. But the power in charge, Don Corleone, he's playing that game. There's nothing we can do. We can't go against Don Corleone. He makes money on the derivatives, let's say. So he's shorting gold, and then Sonny's buying the gold from you. So there really isn't. It's a fixed game. You know they're gonna. He knows he's gonna sell. He's gonna short it, and he knows Sonny is gonna buy it. And we're sitting there going, "What the fuck? Gold's got to be huge now with this inflation." So he's printing the money, and we're like, "Okay, you can't do it. It's worthless. Try to see what you can get with $100 at a grocery store now." Oh, you got 10 items in your basket. Yeah, that's about right. So there's a lot of, we know what's happening, but yet we don't know how to. We see it, but we don't know how to stop. We don't know how it will end. We know it'll end, but we don't know how. And we're waiting, like, what the fuck? Why is the dollar not collapsed? Why is gold not going up yet? So we go through these emotional tirades of what the fuck? We know gold should be 20,000 an ounce, silver 2,000 an ounce, easy, no thought. But the people who are playing the game do not want that outcome. They don't want Stone Cold to win. They want The Rock to win. And so you're sitting there like, okay, what is going on? How do we know when that light comes on that, okay, dollar's gone, here goes gold? Now we know the players, gold's been a monopoly against, or the dollar's been a monopoly that everybody's on the dollar, and so nobody wants it to fail. But they think they can keep printing and printing and printing, and it won't fail. And the key from, I'll go economics on you, is competition. As a monopoly, it won't fail. As a competitive dollar, it will fail if it can't compete, and it can't compete with gold. So that's what we're looking at, and that's why I bring you to the BRICS and the Russians. They have the gold. They have 100,000 tons of the gold. The Russians are the Chinese, aka BRICS. They're going to come out with a BRICS currency and a gold-backed ruble and a gold-backed yuan. And at that point, there it goes. But they don't want to. The problem is, in their minds, they want the U.S. to falter, and then they'll come up with this. So they're prepared like we're prepared. We know the dollar's going out, and we're buying gold and silver hand over fist, but we're going to let the U.S. kill themselves, basically. That's sort of like a football game. We'll play defense and run the ball, and we'll wait for the other team to throw the interceptions. And that's kind of what's happening here. China and Russia won't push the collapse. They're just waiting for the collapse. China's like that, apparently. They don't want to be told, oh, it's your fault that the dollar collapsed. So they're just sitting there with all this gold going, okay, you're doing a good job collapsing your dollar. Oh, let's have another war. Those are expensive. And the Ukraine war didn't bankrupt us. Let's try this war with Israel. Then there will be a war with Venezuela and Guyana. Guyana just made this huge oil discovery, and Venezuela's fucked their currencies up. So Venezuela wants the oil that Guyana just discovered, and they're like neighbors. So Venezuela's here and Guyana's here, and out in the sea is all this oil, and Venezuela's fucked up their currency, and Guyana's, everybody's doing well, but Venezuela wants it, which is why all wars start. It's always about money. Otherwise, why go to war? They're expensive. So I'm not going to go to war if I can't win, or I can't. I don't do it just for the hell of it. I go, they got gold, they got oil. I'm going to go take it, and I'll make up what it cost me in the war to win the war and get the oil. That's why we're in the Middle East, for the oil. So at what point the button gets pushed, I don't know. But that's what we're looking at. We know Russia and China will be gold backing their currency, but they're waiting for the collapse from the U.S., which we're doing a good job printing the money, the high debt, the high inflation. And again, the high inflation is just merely you're printing so much goddamn money that it's just worthless. So at what point, I guess what you're looking for, at what point does nobody want the dollar? As I've taught you in economics time and time again, this only has a value if somebody wants to buy it. If they don't want to buy it, there is no value. I can't sell it. So we're again at the point of, does anybody want this? Now, they just had CDs or T-bills they try to sell, and the other countries buy them for their security. Oh, we'll buy U.S. dollars. It's safe. Well, they're not buying them anymore. There is no buyer. So when there's no more demand for this, will be the green light that is worthless, or it's on its last leg. And right now nobody wants the U.S. dollar. And we're such a fucked up country that I wouldn't trade with us either. We're so corrupt. It's all illegal. You got these idiots trying to be globalist. U.S. is, we'll tell you what to do. We'll tell you what to think. I mean, it's the amount of insanity in this country right now. It's unbelievable. So nobody wants to work with them. Nobody wants to be sanctioned. Nobody wants to be blackmailed. Nobody, buy the dollars or else, we'll sanction you. So everybody's like tired of this game. And the Russians and China and the BRICS is giving everybody the competition needed to break the dollar. So it needs competition, which it's getting. And that's what they said. That's what the Russians and BRICS are saying is we just want to, we don't want to get rid of the dollar. We just want to compete with it. But we know if we have a gold-backed currency, you can't compete with us. We can compete with you with a gold-backed currency. Hey, Bobby Bo. Yeah, whatever. We've talked football for a while, not today. So I'll get into football, but basically we got a game and then we got this week's game. So I'll talk about that later on. But so the question I have now, Bobby, is at what point do we know the dollar is out and the gold's going to go up? Is there a signal for us? Is there something that okay, Bobby, gold's going up and next week because of this and that and this? Here we go. So part of it's the banks, part of it's Russia, China. So when Russia, China come out with their gold-backed currency, the U.S. dollar won't be able to compete with it, and therefore will go to zero, because if there's no demand, there's no market for your money. Why does this have a value? Because, why does Canada want this? Well, their Canadian dollar's worse than ours. Why do the Euros want it? Why is there an FX between us and the Euros? Why do the Euros want this? Don't they want this? No, they want this. Although when I was there, they charged me an arm and a leg to convert at an ATM to buy euros. It was like $1.27. It was huge. So as the demand dwindles, but then it's got to be realized. And this is the problem with the propaganda news. They're not out there telling you that nobody wants the dollar. this is why I watch Egon and Alligator, because somebody's got to be telling us. That's why I asked Daria, by the way, when Putin announces that the Russians are going to be gold back, they're going to have gold back currency, you got to tell me, because I will not hear about it. And now I don't watch the news anyway, but I'm not going to hear about it. It's going to be on YouTube. Will be the way I hear about it, through, As Good as Gold Gets, or the Egon, Let's Go to Switzerland show, or whatever. That's where I'm going to hear about it. And then we got to see it. So right now, today, you look and COMEX is down $20 gold, and you're like, so if you don't know what's going on, you go, why would I buy gold? Look, it just went down. And that's what they want you to think, is it's not that it can't compete with the dollar. The dollar's the only thing to be in. In fact, the only thing to be in is the stock market, or you know what? The annuities are 9%. The real estate trusts that can go from 60,000 to zero, they're out there. You can get 5% at the bank. Look at that interest you can get. Gold doesn't give you interest, so gold, silver, you don't want it for interest. They don't even know what the fuck it is. It's money, and it can't be printed, and it can't lose value in a real world. Only in the COMEX world of printing derivatives can it lose value. And we know that's not real, so we just ignore it. So again, there's either two people. There's one that owns the gold and wants the price to go up, or people that don't have the gold who want the price to go down so they can buy more. And we're still in the let's keep the price of gold down so we can buy more camp, unfortunately. And it's probably a very small amount of gold left, because the central banks, gold, Russia and China buy everything they can. So when the idiots at COMEX keep the price low, Russia, China just comes in and buys it. So that's really the key. So that's really what will trigger it. And we just have to understand when. I'll look for, between Daria and Switzerland, and As Good as Australia and Alligator, will hopefully get something, because there's no fucking way you're going to watch Fox and they're going to say, oh yeah, the gold price just went up. Like, now, are these people behind the scenes buying gold and silver? I would think that they might not know, but they're listening to somebody like me going, you better fucking buy gold because the dollar's worthless. And so I think people are running out to buy gold a lot more than they think. I mean, according to Alligator, nobody here knows what gold is, and nobody travels to Europe. And I'm like, fucking Alligator, I just was in Germany. I was in Barcelona. What the fuck are you talking about? So he thinks nobody goes anywhere and that we don't know anything about gold. And you're like, come on, you're just being anti-American. What's the problem there, fella? Hey, Todd. Gonna buy more gold with my winnings. There you go. Bobby B. Well, Bobby actually went in and played quarterback in the fourth quarter. I don't think he changed his number around. LSU came through. I hear, though, Kelly fired his whole defensive staff. Well, they gave up what? LSU's defense was a 28 defense. And you can't have a 28 defense. So as compared to Georgia's 16, Florida State 16, Oregon 17, even Tennessee was a 22, Alabama was an 18, and Michigan a 10. So when you look at who's in the playoffs, the worst one's Washington at 24, LSU's at 28. I'm surprised. I don't know where he got the defense that he had, that he didn't bring the Notre Dame defense, or doesn't he have friends? But that makes sense. Their defense sucked, but they were fun to bet over with. Let's see, did they get over? I didn't write the score, and I think they did get over. I think it was like 35-31, the final. See, this is the point of this class. See, Greg and John, that's what you bring to class. You bring in some good, interesting notes that we might not know about That's how you help the class, right? That's what this is, right? This is to learn, not to say it's sunny and 40 outside. Well, Greg has got to be quiet and be stoic and learn. We don't mind Greg saying stuff like that, then that's welcome. To say that, you like my glasses, it's probably not. That's kind of vampiring. So back to the economics. It's always the best thing that we want is competition because it keeps prices down, it keeps quality up. So Canadian Club has to make a good whiskey that's affordable to compete with the other whiskeys, the Dewar's, the Jack Daniels, the Maker's Mark, everything like that. They have to. Otherwise, if theirs isn't good or too expensive, nobody cares. Now, I see what Black Label does. They have like a red label and a blue label and a black label at different prices. So if you like them, then you can get the higher. Let's go to the blue label. We'll go to the black label, but it's worth it, right? It's a treat. But it's the same with money. How do you make a monopoly on the most important thing you have? So only the Fed can print the money. There shouldn't even be a Fed in the first place. And because in the Constitution they drew it up where only gold and silver is money, you don't need to worry about it because it's not printed. That's why it's not in the Constitution, and that's why it's not unconstitutional to have a central bank. That is clearly written in the Constitution. You shall not have a central bank because they don't want somebody printing money. They only want money that's gold and silver because they've seen what happened in France and Spain and Amsterdam and Rome. They see it, and so they sat down and said, well, we and look at France, they printed money, and Spain, they printed money, and it all collapsed. So we know that the only system that works after looking at these other systems is gold and silver because you can't print it. So where did the central bank come in 1913 is totally fucking illegal. Hence, they started income tax, which is totally fucking illegal. And now they have dollars that they're printing, and nobody knows what a Ponzi scheme they're doing. They're printing dollars to death that nobody knows they're printing. And so therefore you don't know when we talk and we go, well, Bobby, shit, it's worthless now, but it's still there. And gold should be much higher, but it's still there. And that's where we're kind of, to quote the Titanic, we hit the ice, the water's coming in the ship. When is this ship sinking already? Like, it's got to sink. The water's flowing into the boat. I mean, eventually the boat's going to go down. I mean, like, what the fuck? It's been 2 hours and the boat's still floating and the water's coming in. And that's kind of what we're at. They're printing the debt. They're printing, as I said. So, Bobby, earlier before you got here, I says, you giving me I'm a bank. You giving me 100,000. You want 5% interest. Where am I going to get the money to give you your 5% interest? That's the Ponzi scheme. I gotta call the Federal Reserve and say, I need to pay Bobby 5%. So please print $5,000, and then I can put it in Bobby's account. And you get the money in your account, but do you ever ask, where does it come from? No. So that's really what the whole scheme is well, how are they affording to pay people their interest and their dividends? Stocks are different, but the interest, and then they are supposed to get money from lending it for cars and houses, but those markets are getting killed. So the banks are fucked. Bobby's got his 100 grand in there, and I know I owe him 5, but where am I going to get it from? I'm supposed to take Bobby's 100 grand and loan it out to people to buy cars and houses, charge them 8 or 9%. So theoretically, I'm supposed to charge 8%. They're supposed to make payments, and with the payment, I give Bobby 5% of it, and I keep 3%. That's how the bank works. That's what's supposed to happen. And yet, well, wait, the cars are so expensive, nobody's buying. And then the houses are very expensive and the interest rates are so high, nobody's buying. So now I'm a bank. And I was reading this, looking at my notes just for you, Bobby. And in my notes, it says something about banks. Well, basically, what it says is the worst. I don't know where it is. The worst investment for a bank is houses because interest rates are short term. I owe you every month, but I don't want real estate or houses because it's a long term asset for me. I'm not going to make any money. So if I buy a house, I'm not going to make any money on it. Right? I'm a bank. The last thing I want to do is own a house. That's why this whole BlackRock thing's so stupid. The last thing they want to do is buy houses. It's the stupidest thing they could do. And they're trying to corner the housing market by buying all these houses and then selling them really expensive. Well, it's a cost to them. They got to pay property tax and maintenance on it. Plus, they had to buy the house. And it's all backfiring because if nobody wants to buy the house from BlackRock, especially if it's too expensive, then you go somewhere else. So again, even at BlackRock, they're trying to get a monopoly on houses or something. No, I'll go to Switzerland and live. I don't need to live here. So your monopoly idea is a stupid idea, and you're going to be stuck with a lot of houses and no cash. But you're Larry Fink. You know what's going on, and he doesn't really have the money. It's just people have the money in their funds. It's not his money. So anyway, so what we're looking for is the competition with the Fed to where everybody leaves the dollar and goes into other currencies, and that's the BRICS backed by gold. But they're waiting for us to collapse before they print the BRICS gold-backed currency. But they're saying, look, we're not trying to get rid of the dollar; we're just trying to compete with it. That's from Alligator. So they should be out soon because the ruble is collapsing, as is the yuan, because Putin prints more money than we do, but he takes his money and buys gold with it. So he's probably buying all the gold off of COMEX, right? Oh, you want to make it $2,000 for the gold? Yeah, we're in line here. Line starts behind Putin. So let's print a bunch of money so we can buy the gold from COMEX at $2,000 an ounce. So they're killing themselves, the U.S., by keeping the price low. So they make money on the derivatives. So again, somebody shorts it, which lowers the price, and then somebody buys it, and they split the profit. You would think they could make a lot more money just buying the gold and letting the gold price go up, because you can't fuck with the gold price. That's what they don't understand. They want to keep printing the dollars thinking, well, just keep printing it. There's no hurry. There's no harm. And they don't know. And again, I had said that Keynes was FDR's economist or financial guy. And again, he didn't believe in gold because the government can't print more. He was a communist. So he wants big government. And so he's thinking, well, if we have gold, we can't print. So I don't like gold. But he's not looking at the ramification of you're fucking everybody because you're fucking the dollar down to zero. The dollar will have no value. And look at Greece and Zimbabwe and Venezuela. Venezuela's got like 750,000% inflation. They can't afford anything there. It's all poor. It's all homeless. Zimbabwe, they came out with gold, like we have gold, and people, but who can afford it, right? So they're really poor. So all these countries that have this inflation are all really poor, and it's coming around the corner. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. The only thing you can do is have gold. So we're set. So again, we'll keep looking for the light to come on either for the dollar to collapse or for gold to go up. And I don't know if they'll happen at the same time. It doesn't necessarily, if you just killed COMEX, as I show you, the Montana rookie card's 125,000. It doesn't matter what the dollar is. It's the demand for the card, and it's a free market. So if you just open up gold to a free market and let it go to 20, 30,000 an ounce and silver to 2,000 an ounce, if you just open it up, it doesn't matter if the dollar's good or bad. The only difference is right now everything's priced in dollars. Will have to go out and get priced in gold. So keep that in mind and don't get scared, but that's what'll happen. We're just into the future, right? We always think third dimensional, and we always think into the future. So we know what's happening. We know that the Titanic, the water's coming in, and we're in the lifeboat with our gold and silver, and we're just waiting. And we keep and the kid in the boat with us going, when's it sinking? When's the boat gonna sink? And we're like, look, the water's flowing in, it's gonna sink. Trust us. The dollar is being printed, it's going to go to zero, and gold's going to go up. Just trust us. But you can't ask us every 5 minutes. So really, that's it. So the key is competition. You always want competition. You never want monopolies. Monopolies are good for the monopoleur. So the person running the monopoly, JP Morgan mostly, and it's bad for the people because we have to pay more. So if I have a monopoly on my Canadian club, I'm going to charge $1,000 for this bottle. And you don't have a substitute. You can't go to Dewar's or Black Label or Johnny Walker or anything. You can't buy whiskey. You're going to pay $1,000. Now maybe you go to vodka or gin or whatever, but you have one brand you're going to pay, or you're not going to drink it. So we have the same thing. This is a monopoly. So either we use it, or we're clever people. We say, fuck you. Our competition is gold and silver. And that's what we're getting into. We're getting into the competition for the dollar, and our competition's stronger, and you're keeping the price cheap for us. Thank you. So if you really want to look at COMEX, you've got to look at the bottle half full or half empty, whatever the positive is. That's what you got to look at is, oh, they're keeping the price low for me. That's how you must look at COMEX, not get frustrated going, fuck, why isn't it at 20,000 an ounce yet? And then you got all these people, well, silver's never been more than $50 an ounce. I lose it when I hear these guys on YouTube. I absolutely lose it because they're totally missing the point of the price fix. Well, it is because they do derivatives to keep the price down. That's why it's not gone over $50. It has nothing to do with the demand for silver. And it's an industrial metal, and it's money. It's a double. So you put it in your electric car batteries and your solar panels and your computers and your phones, and it's also money. So a lot of times they don't bring up that little fact that it's also money. And then I know you guys worry when you hear gold going up. Well, how about silver? It all moves together. It's all the same. It's all precious metals. Gold goes up, silver goes up. Diamonds go up, emeralds and rubies and sapphires go up. They all go up together because they're getting out of the dollar. So once you realize you can't print gold and silver, everybody jumps on board. But people just don't know that. They're not educated in it, and they see this COMEX price. They don't understand what COMEX is, and therefore they go, oh, well, I'm not going to buy gold and silver. Look, it's down $30 today. Why would I want that? It was like I was watching the Madoff thing again, and the guy goes to Europe, the Boston guy, and he comes up and he creates this fund that's actually legit, and it's close to what you could make on Madoff. And he goes to Europe with the Hervé Villachet guy, and they'll go, well, yeah, it looks nice, but you know what? It can lose money. And Madoff never loses money. And so he's trying to compete with Madoff, which you can't because it's a Ponzi scheme. And, so that's kind of what it is. It's like, well, the dollar never goes down in value, and gold, and look at gold and silver, it's going down. Well, let's put it in reality. Gold and silver never go down. They are very stable. Oh, I was reading a bunch of that for you, Bobby. Anyway, where is my notes? Fuck. I was doing my reading on the couch. Anyway, I'll read it and get back to you on it. So you asked me, like, do I like, you want to study, Bobby, and you're asking me, how do I study? How do I take notes? So you basically just do that. As I'm saying something, you write it down. And if it's something like, what is inflation? You write down, inflation is, increasing the money supply. And then you might highlight it, and then you're going to put problems with inflation, prices are an effect of it, and, how to survive it. Inflation, hyperinflation is with gold. And then, so you highlight that. And so now as you go through your notes, that starts hammering home, and you go, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I need to know. And off you go with it. But so we're waiting. We know our friends in Russia and China know what's going on. So they're going to compete with the dollar. When that happens, should be soon. They're probably waiting for the U.S. to go broke. And with all these wars, they're doing a good job. That's what Biden hates the Americas, and Obama, and that's where this is all from. They don't want competition. All these globalists don't want competition from the U.S. So they want to blow up the U.S., and now there's nobody to compete with them. So they want to be the monopoly. So Zuckerberg and Gates and Buffett and all these Obamas, they understand that the U.S. is a problem. There's too many rich people here. We're never going to be able to control them. So we've got to bankrupt the U.S.'s dollars. And in the meantime, I don't know if they buy silver or if they even understand that. And they want to be in control because they're smarter than us. Zuckerberg and all these IT guys, all of a sudden know finance and economics. Yeah. Oh, okay. And so that's really what you have going on and why. And so they're doing their best to blow us up. And it's working because the people in charge of the money do not know what they're. JP Morgan, for some reason, is not understanding money, or he's under orders to print it to death. And then they have this huge debt, which they got to pay back. If they don't pay the debt, they lose the asset. So you own a house, $500,000. You're making a 30-year mortgage, so you owe $500,000, and so you stop paying. Fuck it, I'm not going to pay on my debt. You lose the house. They're going to take the house back. You didn't pay your debt. You didn't pay. You still owe us for the house, so therefore it's in our name. We'll take it. That's what'll happen. So if the U.S. says, "Oh, we're not going to pay the debt," they lose all the assets that the debt goes with. You paid for something. That's why you have a debt. So you paid $35 trillion of something that you have a debt that you owe people. Mostly it's these treasury bonds that are to Russia and Germany and Italy and the UK and Japan and Russia. They have the bonds, so you owe them for the bonds. So if you default, you lose all the value of the bonds. So in my mind, this should happen sooner than later, because it's just, as the debt goes up, it costs a lot, and raising the interest rates, the worst thing you can do with the debt, because now it costs more to pay the debt. And I think that's part of the game too. So Powell doesn't know what he's doing. He's an attorney. That'd be like me doing law. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing in law. I'm a economist. So there'll be a point in time, as I'm trying to get to, that it will not be worth anything. And then everybody, but you need the competition. So I think BRICS has to come out with the gold-backed currency sooner than later, because I think you have to give competition to the dollar for these other Brazil, Argentina, and Zimbabwe and everything. They need to have, they're all in dollars. They need to get out of the dollar, but there's no competition. So if you offer a gold-backed BRICS currency, they'll get out of the dollar and go to the BRICS currency. And then we'll get a much higher gold price. So keep in mind, we don't need the dollar to collapse for the gold to go up. And that's really what we're hoping. We've gotten into the competition. We've gotten away from the dollar, substituted with gold and silver, which you can't print, which will go through the roof. So I'll keep trying to think of there's the red flag. There it is. The fireworks are going off. Here it goes. Here's the end of the dollar, and here's that. So we know the dollar's ending. We know gold's going to go to the moon. It's just when. Now, hopefully it just goes to free market. I don't want Russia to say, okay, gold's now worth 5,000 an ounce. Well, we want it to be free market. We don't want it being controlled. But I think if they do come out with that, they'll come out with 10,000 an ounce. They'll want to break the U.S. and they'll want, since they put it this way, if you have the gold, you want the higher price, you're going to say 10 grand. You're not going to say 2 grand. 2 grand is to keep the gold price low, so you don't want gold. But if I have the gold, I want 20,000, 30,000, because I want it to be very expensive. Then I'm the king because I got all this money and you don't, and you're fucked. So I think once the BRICS come out with it, it'll be a very high price. So I don't know how much longer it is. And that's what confuses me. I watch these football games and all these people, or I'm at Disneyland, or, well, a couple of years ago. I wouldn't go there now. But just the people, they're just clueless. They have no idea that the avalanche is coming or the tidal wave is coming. They have no idea. They're sitting there eating or on their phone or looking at TikTok. They have no idea what's coming. And, I just sit there and I don't know. Am I Batman? I got to save everybody, or am I Batman going, yeah, I'm going to join the Catwoman like at the end of the movie. I'll stay with her. She's worth staying with. Anyway, so that's it. So really, you want competition. Gold is the competition to the dollar, which is why we're buying it. You can't print it, so you can't have inflation, which devalues the money, makes it worth nothing eventually. So those are the general principles of everything. All of business, women, everything else. It's all based on competition. You see a girl, the idea is to have 2 or 3, so you can then get to know all 3 and go, okay, I'm going to choose you. That's competition, not a monopoly where there's only one girl for you. Bobby Bo, they just chilling out on the Titanic with their friends, dollar in hand and not a worry in the world. And they don't believe in buying metals. I'm telling you, Bobby, I don't know if you went to the LSU game, but you watch this Sunday, they'll be at the football game. Like, where are you getting the money from? Because not only that, but how much is the ticket? So you got the Miami Buffalo game this Sunday. How much is the ticket for that? Where are you getting the money for that? So you got this much money that you can just throw away on a football game. And then are you the same person that's going to bitch when I say, well, you need gold? Well, I don't have any money. Yeah, you just wasted it on a stupid football game. We're talking, survival here. This is much more important. Well, that's what it was on the Titanic. I'm going to go back to my room and bring a brandy and a tea, and I want to take a tub. The boat's sinking. What part of this are we not getting? you understand what sinking means. So the dollar's hitting zero, but the gold doesn't matter. Gold should go to its own price as soon as JP Morgan. And that's why I think as soon as they run out of it and they can't do the derivatives, is when it ends, and or when Russia and BRICS starts coming out the gold-backed currency. We need a higher price. We cannot be they can't print enough gold money at 2,000 an ounce. So you've got to print it at 5 or 10,000 an ounce. And the one thing I was reading in my notes was that there's two things with gold. It's always got to be like 1 ounce equals $1,000 or $5,000. And it's always got to be redeemable. So if you go on the gold standard at any time, you want to go and you want real gold, and you got a couple, I don't know, an ounce of, well, I don't know, gold's 2,000. So let's say you have $1,000 and it's gold currency, right? It's gold-backed currency. But you say, I don't go to the bank. Here's $1,000. I want a half ounce of gold. I want to keep the coins. And they are supposed to be able to redeem it. So my bet is when that happens, the banks would keep a certain amount on hand, and then there'd be a storage, and then they would send it to Bobby wants 10 ounces of it, so I'm going to get it. So that's what you've got to know. Hate when I take these. There was a text for phones or whatever. So keep that in mind. Once they go do the gold standard, the idea is you go to the bank and get it. The problem with the U.S. is we don't have any gold. Well, the central bank doesn't have any. I think the banks like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan have gold. And they're probably, so I don't know that the central bank needs to buy the gold and just them. I would have think that Wells Fargo and JP Morgan Chase and, what's the other one? I think those Goldman Sachs, I think they're buying gold. I think they're keeping it low on purpose so they can buy it. I mean, if we use logic here, it's 2,000 an ounce. It should be 20, and it's only so other people can buy it, right? It's, Bobby, you want gold, and I'm JP Morgan. Okay, Bobby, I'm going to keep the price low so you can buy it. And when you buy it, you give me some. And I think that's what's happening is they're keeping it low for their other banks to buy it at. And I think the way we collapse it is when they run out. Okay, there's no more gold left here. They can't run a derivative because they don't have gold to run the derivative with. And that's what it is. And then when Putin and the BRICS start coming out, because they know that the U.S. is fucked. They're down to zero. They're printing a dollar that's worthless. We'll come in, and then we'll come out with a gold-backed BRICS currency. And when we do that, then we'll need a higher gold price. And then I think that's when it really goes. But the U.S. dollar doesn't have to collapse for the gold price to go up. All right. What else? There's something I had. I can't think of it now. All right, so let's get to the NFL. So we'll walk through the games. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Mason Rudolph now against Lamar. So is Lamar playing? I'm listening to these guys. Probably not, Bobby. Now I just submitted my resume. The recruiter called me, so it becomes I get the interview, I get the job, then I'm at the coin store because I'm kind of trying to balance the money I have in my safe to not have to sell my gold at these prices. So I'm waiting for the gold to go much higher and the silver, and then I don't need to work, and then I can sell 1 ounce for 50,000 or 35, 40,000, have that money, and that'll be my job. My job is to sell my gold. So I don't think so. Maybe to buy some silver, but I just don't. I feel gold will start to run. I think silver still got a little ways to go. There's a lot more silver than gold, so I think it will go up. But I just think where I was running last year to buy gold before the price went up, I not too worried about the silver price going up quite yet. So I think I got time in silver. And we'll go, but it might just shoot up too with gold. But no, at this point, if I do go, it's not to buy. It's just to check up on them. Like I said, they were out of American silver and they were buying this Canadian that just didn't look good. But these are not really, I don't know if they're from banks or not, just places that can melt it and print silver coins. Now, we know they are real silver, and it does say 1 troy ounce of silver, but you got to be very careful. Now, when I go to my coin store, I'm not worried. He's not selling. He checks it out before he puts it out. So he never would sell fake silver or fake gold for that matter. But normally it's the country. So I'd rather get the Cougar and the Maple Leaf. The Philhurst, man, I know that silver is good. So that's what I tend to buy. But I don't think so. Maybe, what's today? Wednesday, all of a sudden? Yeah, today's one. God. See, when these holidays hit on a Monday, it just, then the next day is already Tuesday, Wednesday. So Rudolph against Lamar, it looks like he's going to play, but how much? I was surprised Bo Nix played the whole fucking game. I was surprised Daniels didn't play at all. But it's funny with Alabama. How come? Why didn't Melrose sit out and get ready for the draft or transfer portal or? That doesn't make any sense. Why some of the players, like Daniel sits out. Well, why didn't Milrose sit out? Why didn't Michigan quarterback sit out? They could get injured. They won't be able to play they won't be able to get drafted in the NFL. They won't be able to play if they're injured. Well, yeah, but they're playing for a playoff game. Well, so the other guys, what's the difference, right? Well, it's a meaningless game. Well, theoretically, so is this playoff game a meaningless game? You don't have Georgia in there. Whoever wins, it's meaningless because it's not real. You need Georgia in there. You need Oregon in there. I was pissed, though, when I heard today Florida State's players just were protesting not being in the playoffs, saying we're not going to play. And I thought that was really strange going, wouldn't it have been better to do what Georgia did and say, look, we should have been in the playoff. Look what we did. I think that would have done more than not playing at all. What did it prove? You lost 63-3. Yeah, you just made my case. You're not a good team. You just lost 63-3. You shouldn't have been in the playoff in the first place. Look how bad you are. Yeah, Georgia, you probably should have been in. You won 63. I mean, that's the bullshit part of it is that Florida State should not have laid down unless they were just scared of Georgia and they didn't have their quarterback. So nobody wanted to play. We don't want to play, but we know we're going to get killed by Georgia. But what's the difference? Why is the Michigan team playing this week? They might get hurt and they won't be able to transfer, go to the NFL draft. I don't know. If I was the Michigan players and the Washington players, I wouldn't play. You could get hurt, So I don't know. That's too much of a risk for me to get hurt in an exhibition, playoff game. It's a national. They don't. Yeah, but it's not real. So I love the Michigan guy to hurt his knee, the quarterback. That would be perfect. Yeah, don't get ready for the pros. Anyway, it's all such bullshit. So Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Rudolph against Lamar. Everybody looks like they're playing. Pittsburgh's in a must-win and wait, but since they're the first game, they must win. They have to win. You got Rudolph in there. Now, does Lamar, the way this guy coaches, he tries to win preseason games. I'm not sure he doesn't play Lamar the whole game, or at least the first half or the first three. Or, if the game gets out of hand, Pittsburgh goes up 28-0, then he can pull Lamar. But I think if Baltimore's up 31-28, Lamar's out there. I think he wants to win. I think he wants to knock Pittsburgh out of the playoffs, which is what he'll do with the win. So I'm not sure just because Pitt needs it and Baltimore's got the 1 seed that Baltimore just sits down and says, "Yeah, Pitt, we'll let you in." They're like, "Fuck no, we don't want Pittsburgh in. They're good defense. We'd rather have whoever else is in there." So I'm not buying that. It should be raining. 38 degrees, 93% chance of rain, 11-mile-an-hour wind. From what I can see, Pitt's 3.5, 36.5. So I don't know. This is a rare chance to get Baltimore as a home dog. It's a rare chance to get an over of 30 in a Baltimore game. Yes, you have some rain, but I think Pitt's going to score on them anyway. But Baltimore just scores, and they score 30 a game by themselves. And even if Lamar's not the quarterback for the whole game, the backup's going to come in. He ain't going to just hand the ball off and not throw. So this would be very interesting with the guy from Utah, Henley. So we will see, but he'll try to score also. So I don't think I think this under is way too low, except for the 11-mile-an-hour winds. So they were 13 yesterday, so we'll see what happens. All right, Houston, Indiana. A lot depends on Jacksonville and Tennessee, but the winner's in the playoffs from what I can tell. This is the Saturday night game. C.J. Stroud against Minshew. Taylor's playing. Everybody on Indy. Houston. A couple of receivers I never heard of are questionable. So I don't know. This was Houston, I think, -1 on the road at Indy. I think this is a dog play. Over under 47. Houston kind of plays fairly good defense. Indy, not as much. They played a 43 with Oakland. So you score 23 on Oakland, you're going to get 23 on Houston. Houston should score. This should just be balls out, not conservative. And so I don't know. I think it's a dog, and I think it's an over, but I got to check more injuries. And it's in the Dome in Indy. Now we go to Sunday, Tampa Bay, Carolina. Tampa Bay must win to win the division. They lose, they're out, but I think they still can be a playoff. No, I think then whoever wins Atlanta, New Orleans wins the division. Tampa's at 8-8. Green Bay's at 8-8. Seattle's at 8-8. Tampa Bay. So I don't know, but Tampa, all they got to do is beat Carolina to win the South, and they're lucky Georgia's not in their division. Mayfield he's got ribs. He's going to play. He's probable against Steve Young, and Tampa should kill him. Again, in a teaser this year, Carolina is 16-0 against. After that, you bet against Washington at 15-1, Seattle and KC at 14-2. And on the other hand, you take Minnesota at 14-2, but Minnesota lost last week to Green Bay. So a lot of that depends on the quarterback. If you have strong quarterback play, like Kansas City with Mahomes, that's one thing. But Minnesota with 18 different quarterbacks, it's very hard to get that trend, and yet they're still 14-2. It's amazing. Saw Tampa winning in, and they're only laying 4 to Carolina. This is a joke. We've got 11-mile-an-hour wind, 50 degrees, so wind shouldn't be a big factor. Steve Young, he's just so bad. Cleveland, Cincinnati, Sunday at 1. Flacco against Browning. Mixon, Chase playing. Higgins, Boyd. Murray Cooper's questionable. He didn't play last week. Some of the other receivers are questionable. That doesn't matter. They'll just replace them. This is meaningless. Cleveland has locked up the 5 seed, I believe, or the 6 seed, because Miami's also 11-5. So if they both go to 11-6, Miami would be the 5, I guess. Cleveland doesn't really matter, but they're in. Cincinnati's on the doorstep, but they can't get in, even though they're 8-8. I think because Houston and Indy have won 9 games, one of them's got to win 10. I believe they've won 9. Let's see. Yeah, they're both 9-7. So one goes to 10-7, one goes to 9-8, and then Jacksonville would go, I think, also to 9-8. Yeah, they're all 9-7. So, but apparently Cincinnati is out of it, unfortunately. Yeah, it's been a bad year with no Joe Burrow. Yeah, he plays like Steve Young. So I don't know. Do I find an over-under on the game? Is Cleveland going to lay down? Cleveland's been scoring a lot, and as long as Chase is playing, Cincinnati score. What was that score last week? 25-17 against Kansas City. So Cincinnati's still playing. Over 31 seems very low in this game. Minnesota, Detroit, Nick Mullins against Goff. That's who I thought. Jefferson's Detroit's fine. Detroit's only 3.5. Now, Detroit will play because they want the 2 seed. And Minnesota's got like 1,000-to-1 shot because they're 7-9 to go to 8-9. If Green Bay wins, they're in. Seattle's got 8 wins, and they got Arizona. So Minnie's got such a small chance to get in. Again, Atlanta would have to beat New Orleans, and Tampa would have to lose to Carolina, and Green Bay would have to lose. Seattle would have to lose, and then Minnesota beats Detroit. So all that would need to happen. And I don't know that Atlanta can beat New Orleans, and I certainly know that Tampa can beat Carolina. So, if 2 of those, one of them is going to win the division, it's just the other wild card. So right now you got Dallas, Phillies, one Division 1 wild card. You got the Rams at 9 wins, so they're in. So it's the last wild card, really. So it's either probably going to go to Green Bay if they beat the Bears, or it'll be Seattle over Arizona the next one. So Detroit, I like them a lot. They're only 3.5. They're going to play to win because they want to get the 2 seed, and their attitude is we're going to win. We want to play to win. We're not going to lay down, and they probably want to beat Minnesota, and they beat them pretty good the first time in an over. Now, maybe I like the over because Nick Mullins, he throws a lot of picks and a lot of touchdowns to Jefferson. And I think, what do we got here? Detroit's a 27 defense. So the play is Detroit's an over team with a 27 defense with Nick Mullins. Minnesota will score more in a kind of a must win for them. Detroit will apply the pressure because they want the 2 seed, because this game's at 1 and the Dallas and Philly game's at 4. So they win to go to 12-5. Both of those lose to go to 11-6. Detroit's the 2 seed. Now, I don't think it really matters if they're the 2 seed or the 3 seed. They've got the 3 seed locked up. I don't think it matters. They don't get the bye anyway. So, but I wouldn't rest players, I don't think. Now, maybe I get Hooker in the game in the 4th quarter, let him have some real live snaps and get it ready for next year. But And in case I'm in the playoffs and Goff gets hurt and Hooker hasn't taken a snap yet, I mean, that doesn't sound like good coaching either. So I'd probably try to get Hooker in the game a little bit, maybe just before half, maybe, it depends on what's going on with the score. But this could be another over. We won with the over 2 weeks ago. Mini Detroit was a 54, and I think we're over 41 or something. The JETSs against New England. Now, rumor has it this is Belichick's last game in New England. Simeon against Zappi. Oh, I like Simeon. So Zach Wilson's out. Simeon and we got Mullins against Golf. Okay, so Simeon against Zappi. Simeon's been playing good. Zappi, the over-under is 30. Seriously? You got a 24 Jet defense now and a 17 New England. But New England played Buffalo 27-21. Buffalo's got, obviously we know they got a strong offense, and they got 27 on them. But this is way too low, I feel, a 30. Because I don't think New England's got – New England does show a 17 defense, but I don't see why the Jets won't get 20. And I won't see why New England won't get in the 20s. This could easily go 27-20. It's a 47, and we got the over-under of 30. But I don't see a 7-3 game here. Well, we do have a 33 degree, 77 chance of snow. We got 20-mile-an-hour winds. That's why it's so low. That would keep me from going over on it. But I'm not sure they wouldn't get over even with the 19-mile-an-hour wind, 20-mile-an-hour wind. Zappi against Simeon. We'll need better weather we'll need the Saturday weather. Atlanta, New Orleans, because last time that happened, all of a sudden on Sunday, the weather was 5 miles an hour, and they had moved these unders so low because of the weather. Atlanta, New Orleans, Heineken against Carr. This is a must-win game. The winner, I think, gets the wild card, or at least if New Orleans wins, they can get the wild card. If Tampa wins, I think. No, I don't even know if they can. No, it's Green Bay and Seattle 1-2. So New Orleans will play for the title, and I think that's all. Yeah, Tampa's on at 1, and so they're all on at 1. So New Orleans. So this is a playoff game, Atlanta, New Orleans, and if Tampa loses to Carolina, which will never happen, if Tampa loses and New Orleans wins, they win. So basically, this game is for the division, not necessarily for the wild card. Because if Tampa wins, I think Tampa, where is that? Yeah, Tampa's 8-8. Okay. So Tampa's 8-8. New Orleans is 8-8, and Atlanta's 7-9. So if Tampa loses and Atlanta wins the South with the 8-9 record. Oh my God. If New Orleans wins, so if Tampa loses, then the winner wins the division. If New Orleans wins to go to 9-8, they could get to the wild card. If Tampa also wins, so if Tampa wins, they're 9-8, they win the South. If they lose, the winner of this game wins the South, and they'd all be 8-9. And they wouldn't make the playoff in college because they couldn't beat Alabama. So it's Heineken against Carr. Kamara's questionable. It's in a dome. New Orleans is favored at home, as they should be, over under 42. This is the hard part. Atlanta, do they score? Does New Orleans score? Do I have anything? See, I don't have anything. I got to get more into it. They both have 21 defenses. My guess goes over because you in a game like this where you need to win, you go for it on 4th down. You do fake punts. You do a lot of longer passes. And especially once you get down, you get a little more desperate. Oh, my God, we got to win. Let's throw 20-yard passes versus, oh, we got the lead. We're going to just run it in the line 4 times. I don't think you'll see much of that until 2 minutes left in the game. So I think with Heineken, I think it's an over. If you got the other guy, Riddler, if you got the Riddler at quarterback, I think then New Orleans for sure. And they're only laying 3, so you take the 3. All right, Jacksonville, Tennessee, also at 1. We can ask Grega for the weather updates. Yeah, that might be a good job for Grega. Yeah, I can see that. Jacksonville, Tennessee, we got Lawrence against Levis. Lawrence is injured with a shoulder injury as well as the ankle injury. Levis is questionable also, and if he doesn't go, you got Tennessee. You got Tannehill. Now, Vrabel, I read, wants to win the game. And then they asked him why. He says, because I want to win every game, because I hate losing, which I thought was a great answer. I hate losing, so I want to win the game. Well, every team hates losing and should want to win the game unless you're but Caleb, he doesn't mind losing. I think that's what bothers me most about these guys sitting out the bowls. That means losing's okay. Because if you don't play, the odds on LSU winning without Daniels and USC winning without Caleb were very slim. They still got the win, but not without their stars. And I heard the argument yesterday about, well, this way the young players get a chance to play. No. They play against New Mexico State and Ball State in week 1. That's when you get the guys a chance to play, not in a bowl game, not in a more meaningful game. You're not giving the guy a chance. So that's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, I get to play. All right. So Lawrence, he's 50-50, and they'll probably go with Beathard, and Levis, they'll probably go with Tannehill. I would think this would be a low-scoring game, to tell you the truth, because Jacksonville, they won 26-0 to Carolina last week. I think without Lawrence, it's more of a kind of a running with Etnan, and Tennessee should run Henry and then throw to Hopkins a little bit. But I think it would be more of an under. Tennessee, I think, plays more of an under. What was last week? Yeah, they lost to Houston 26-3. So that was a pretty big under, only scoring 3 points. Interesting. Arizona, Seattle. Seattle must win and pray Green Bay loses. So Seattle's amazing. They're not in. And Green Bay at 8-8, and they're at 8-8. So I think if Green Bay wins, they're in. If they lose, Seattle wins, they're in. If Seattle loses, then it becomes – then we start getting back to Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and New Orleans. Yeah, the Rams are in at 9. So Smith against Murray, and then Walker is questionable, but he'll play. Metcalf, Lockett, they're fine. So probably an over. Maybe you take Seattle plus 3.5. But again, they're on at the same time as Green Bay. And here's Green Bay against the Bears. Folds against Love. DJ Moore is questionable now. Oh, okay, we need him. It's funny how why is Fields playing? It's really weird how Lamar should sit out because they've clinched the home field. We don't want to get him hurt. Here's Fields. Why is he playing? Talk about they're not playing for anything. He should be the one not playing. not Lamar. Lamar should be playing. Fields should be sitting out because they're not playing for anything. Kyler Murray should be sitting out. It doesn't mean anything, and yet they play. So that's what's really weird about it. They're not worried about getting their guy injured in a meaningless game. So why should the 1 seeds? It's so fucking warped. Green Bay love Aaron Jones. As Watson's got the hamstring and Jaden Reed's got ribs. So I'm sure they'll play. Well, Watson's going to go, but I don't know how healthy he is. And then DJ Moore, I gotta read what's wrong with them. But I probably love the over in this game at 44 as long as I got DJ Moore. That's where Fields throws the ball. He's hard. He gets a lot of touchdowns. And Green Bay's got a 24 defense. The Bears with the 18 defense. But we know the Bears defense isn't that strong, and it won't be in Green Bay against Green Bay. 33 degrees, 12-mile-an-hour winds. Denver against Oakland. Stidham against O'Connell. Why are they playing? They could get hurt in a meaningless game. Maybe they should transfer portal in pros. So Stidham's in the transfer portal. He's going to go to San Diego next year. That would be hysterical. Stidham against O'Connell. Jacobs probably not playing. Sutton and Mims are questionable. Oakland 2.5, 38 in a dome. KC San Diego in a dome. Mahomes against Stick. Why is Mahomes playing? Pacheco questionable. See, the guys like Pacheco and Tony, I would probably not play. They won't lose their timing. Mahomes will lose. He needs to play at least half, and I think he'll play the whole game against Stick. Keenan Allen questionable. Why are you fucking around with Keenan Allen in a meaningless game? San Diego is 3.5-point favorites. I'm not quite sure about that. Over under 35 in a dome. I think this is a very strong under because you've got KC, a low-scoring, strong defensive team, and San Diego, also a pretty good defensive team that's low-scoring with Stick. And if Keenan Allen's not out, what was the score last week? 16-9 to Denver. I mean, they're not going to score, especially on Kansas City's defense. Kansas City, I don't know. But I know Andy Reid. He's going to play to win, and he's going to play Mahomes. So I don't think Mahomes is sitting out. Philly and the Giants must win for Philly to win the division. Now, is that important to them? Well, we're in the playoffs. We'll be the 5 seed. Well, I would think that it's important to win the division and get easier games and get home games. So I would say Philly is playing. Devontae Smith is questionable. He thinks he's back at Alabama where we're hurt. I don't like this. You got Julio Jones and Devontae Smith, and they're both, only one of them's hurt against Tyrod Taylor, who is now questionable. So you got Philly as a 5.5 in a must-win. 50% chance of rain, 36 degrees, 10-mile-an-hour winds. With this defense, if Tyrod Taylor's playing, this is an over game. But I also think Philly needs to win, but their defense is so bad. If Taylor plays this, I got to see what's wrong with Taylor now. The Rams and the Niners, again, this is meaningless for both teams. LA's in it with 9-7. The question is, if they lose, they could go from 6 to 7. Let's say Green Bay wins. I think Green Bay beat them, and I think then Green Bay would be the 6 and the Rams are 7, which would mean if you're the 7th team, you get the Dallas Philly winner, and if you're the 6th seed, you get the Lions, I think. So I'd rather play the Lions than at Philly or at Dallas. Purdy's playing, Stafford, this Williams guy is good running back, Cup, and Deebo Samuel, Ayuk. So it's a we see McCafferty's out, as he should be. I can see him pulling Samuel and Ayuk, second half. Purdy probably goes a half, and then you give Aaron Donald, and you give whatchamacallit, Sam Darnold the second half, which he should be able to score. Stafford and the Rams, what are they doing? Are they playing? They're the dog here. Frisco's 4. Are they playing, and how long are they playing? And this is like the bowl fucking season. We don't know. I think they play. It's like, oh, they have nothing to play for. So why is Stafford playing and Fields not, and Murray not? Why aren't they sending it out? So I don't know with Stafford. I think you got to go at least the first half with them. You got to keep sharp. You got a game next week. I do understand resting the players if they need rested, but Stafford was hurt. He probably doesn't need rest. He needs more time with his players. So interesting. I don't. The Niners don't need it. They're in. The Rams maybe need it more. If there was a regular game, this game would be bet over 35.5. And probably take the Niners minus plus the 2. 15-mile-an-hour winds there. So we're getting a lot of wind. Dallas, Washington. Dallas is healthy. Washington's healthy. Thurston Howell is going to play instead of Brissett. Dallas is 13 and 46. Now, where I took the Niners over, I won't make that mistake again. I will probably take either Dallas, which I hate laying 14. I think I go under because Dak's going to give us a couple of interceptions. 13-mile-an-hour winds, 43 degrees in Washington. I think we go under with the game. I can't trust Dallas laying if it's 7.5, 8, and under 52. I think I can trust more. And the last but not least, Buffalo, Miami. 46% chance of rain, 70 degrees, 12-mile-an-hour winds, so a little bit of wind. Allen against Tagovailoa, who's questionable. Tagovailoa, Mostert, and Waddle are questionable. Now, the interesting thing is, if Pitt wins Saturday, Buffalo needs to win Sunday. If Pitt loses, I'm not sure. Well, Cleveland's in. Buffalo's got 10 wins. Excuse me. Houston and Indy got 9, and Jacksonville's got 9. So I'm not sure. The losers out of Indy and Houston. If Jacksonville wins, they got 10, and let's say Indy wins, they got 10. And now Buffalo at 10-6 goes to 10-7, and they lose to Miami. Does that bump up, the Indy-Houston winner, and Jacksonville wins? So now there's 2 at 10. Buffalo's 10-7. Are they out? I know they're out if Pitt wins. I don't remember the full thing. But anyway, I don't even think that matters. Buffalo will win the division. So it's a division game. So I don't think it matters. Even if Pitt loses, Buffalo isn't going to sit down. Buffalo can win the division. So this won't matter. Buffalo, Miami. So you've got the Buffalo-Miami game, if I can find it. So that doesn't matter. They're going to both play. The Houston-Indy game doesn't matter. They're both going to play. The Atlanta-New Orleans doesn't matter. They're both going to play. So those 3 games are all we're going to play. Minnesota-Detroit. Detroit wants the 2 seed. Minnesota has a very slim chance of getting in. I'm sure they'll play. Uh, the Bears are out. Green Bay needs it to make the playoffs, so we'll see. Jacksonville, Tennessee. Jacksonville needs it to win the division. Philadelphia and the Giants. Philly must win if they want to win the division, which I would think would be a pretty strong thing. Seattle, Arizona. Now, Seattle is kind of, well, we're in if we win and Green Bay loses. Well, I still think they're going to play because I still think if Green Bay loses and they lose, I don't, then maybe New Orleans gets it if Tampa loses to Carolina, but Tampa's not going to lose to Carolina. So Philly must win. Seattle, Arizona. I think Seattle plays no matter what. The Rams and the Niners, they're both in, so I don't think that's really a game. Dallas, Washington. Dallas must win Dallas must win to clinch the division. So Dallas has that on their plate. No matter what Philly does, if Dallas wins, they win the East. And if they lose and Philly wins, they win the East. And they're playing. Philly's got the Giants, and Dallas has Washington. Dallas is not going to lose. That takes Detroit, and maybe that's what. But Detroit's at 1:00, so you would think it would take Detroit going, well, Dallas is going to win. We're going to rest their players. I don't buy that. I think Detroit plays hard, tries to get the 2 seed, hopes Dallas and Philly lose, but they're not going to because they get to play Washington, who probably wouldn't win a game in the Big Ten. So Dallas has to win the division more than Philly. And then Tampa Bay, Carolina, Tampa Bay in a must-win to win their division. They win, they're in the division. They lose, now there's a mess. They got to, I think they're out because I think Green Bay's winning, they're in. So that means Tampa loses, then the winner of the Atlanta-New Orleans game wins the division. Tampa's out. So Tampa must win to win the division. And then Pitt-Baltimore, Pitt must win to knock Buffalo off with the loss. Buffalo, but can still win and win the division because Miami's already in. So Pitt must win, but I'm not quite sure. Lamar's just going to sit there and have a Canadian club on the sidelines. I'd be shocked the way Harbaugh coaches if Baltimore doesn't play to win. I'll be absolutely shocked if against Pittsburgh of all teams, they're going to just lay down and say, yeah, go ahead and win. We're going to rest our guys. That'll be the best way to win the Super Bowl. We won't play our guys for 3 weeks, and we'll see how bad we look in the first round because we'll get beat. So that's it. So the only game really with nothing is Cleveland, Cincy, and Denver, Oakland, and the Jets, New England, Kansas City, San Diego. Those 4 games are meaningless, but I would still think KC, Andy Reid, I don't think he's resting Mahomes. He never did. New England, keep your eye out. It could be Belichick's last game in New England, and then he goes to, San Diego for a year or 2. That would be my keep an eye on New England, because if this is his last game, they will win. Oakland, Denver, Oakland's coming on playing. The coach is playing to be the coach next year. Look for Oakland to give a good effort. And Denver's all fucked up with this Russell Wilson contract, so I'm not quite sure what to do with that. Tennessee could be sneaky at home because the coach, they interview the coach, are you playing? We're going to win. We're going to try to win. And they says, why? Because he says, I hate losing. Of course we're going to play to try to win. We tried to win last week, and we got the shit kicked out of us. What was that score? They lost 26-3 to Houston. So the Houston Indy game, I theoretically, I want to go dog because it's a home dog and a must-win game, right? Both teams back against the wall. You want the dog, and when you get the home dog, I think that's a good way. But looking at it more, I might go over on the game because Indy scores a lot and doesn't have a great defense. Houston does. They put up 27 on Tennessee, but I don't think here they're going to hold Indy to 3. Um, could be a little low scoring, but I think what I'm seeing is 47.5, 41.5. That's a pretty low number. That's 21-20 and or 22-20, and I got an over. So I think this game will be high 20s. So recapping, my Buffalo, Miami, 12-mile-an-hour winds in Miami, possible rain. Dallas, Washington, we got 13-mile-an-hour winds in Washington, 43 degrees. We've got the Rams and the Niners, 15-mile-an-hour winds in the Niners. This game might be an under because if Stafford and Purdy don't stick along, maybe they play the first half. You're going to get the bench Darnell against whoever the Rams, or maybe Stenson Benson makes his debut. I'd like to see that, but I think it'll be a low-scoring game because they'll pull their starters. I don't see them playing Frisco. They're not playing Purdy the whole game after what happened last year. I guarantee that. And we already got McCaffrey out, and so we will see. But that's kind of how if you don't think the quarterback's playing, you go under. Philly and the Giants, we got 10-mile-an-hour winds, 36 degrees, possible rain in New York. San Diego's a dome. We got Oakland, a dome. We've got the Bears and the Packers. 12-mile-an-hour winds in Green Bay, 33 degrees, which is pretty warm for January in Green Bay. Probably not rain or snow, just the wind. Seattle, Arizona in the dome. Jacksonville, Tennessee. In Tennessee, 12-mile-an-hour winds, 20% chance of rain, 47 degrees. So it's pretty warm with 12-mile-an-hour winds. But again, I don't know if they are showing us Sunday winds or today winds. Atlanta, New Orleans in a dome. We got New England and the Jets. 20-mile-an-hour winds in New England and snow and 33. So this should be a snowy, windy day, which then I can understand the 30 over. The best running back wins, Breece Hall and Ezekiel Elliott. Mini Detroit's in a dome. Cleveland, Cincy, it's 14-mile-an-hour wind, 51% chance of rain, 41 degrees. So it won't be too cold, but it'll be windy. Too windy, I don't know. And then how long are these players playing? This will be interesting. And then we got Carolina, Tampa, 50 degrees, no rain, 11-mile-an-hour winds in Carolina. They're both 23 defenses. Interesting. Carolina's the Z12. Tampa Bay -5. You got to bet Tampa. Well, Mayfield's questionable with ribs, but I'm sure he'll play. So you got to bet. The only way to go is Tampa -5 to even. I mean, they got to win the game, and you don't have to lay a point. So I think that's the best way. Houston, Indy in a dome. Stroud and Minshew over under a 47. Pitt and Baltimore. It's going to rain, 38 degrees, 11 miles an hour. It's like the rain's 93%. Lamar and Madoff. So, Rudolph. I think you go over in this game. Well, if the wind dies, you get the wind under 10 miles an hour. I think this is an overplay. You're going to get rain, which doesn't really matter, but you've got I think you're going to see Lamar 3 quarters and then Huntley the 4th quarter. And Baltimore should score. They've been scoring 40 points a game. And that be it. Let's go through the line one more time. Pittsburgh went to 435.5. We got Houston 1.5, 47.5. We got New Orleans 3, 42.5. We got Cincinnati 7, 37.5, up from 6.5. We got New England 1.5, 30.5. We've got Jacksonville 5.5, 39.5. We got Detroit 3, 45.5. We got Tampa 4.5, 37. Wow, 4.5. I assume it's from Mayfield, but I think he'll play. Dallas 13.5, 45.5. Let's see if it's any 13s. Yeah, there are 13s. All right, we can get it at 13. Even better. So now we can lay 7, and they'll kill that. The 45.5, I think I'd have to go under. We've got the Niners 3.5, 41.5. We've got Philadelphia 5.5, 41.5. Green Bay 3, 44.5. Seattle 2.5, 47.5. Oakland 2.5, 37.5. Kansas City, San Diego 3.5, 35. We got Buffalo 3, 49.5 in Miami. And that be it. So those are your lines. Very surprising. The Detroit spread's very low. San Diego's favorite over KC. As far as I know, Mahomes is playing. Dallas 13. Okay, Tampa only 4.5. The only game that really makes no sense is Pittsburgh 4 over Buffalo or over Baltimore. Like they assume Lamar's not playing, and I don't buy that. And then you have Buffalo as a road favorite to Miami, 3-50, and I think that's due to the injuries. So we got to wait on that game until we see probably Saturday, or if they clear up Friday night where the injuries are fine. Once we know everybody's playing or not playing, they're not playing, we take Buffalo. So if Tagovailoa and Mozart and Waddle are out, we go Buffalo very easily. If they are playing, then it becomes an over. So this is what got me last week. I didn't have more. There was the Baltimore game against Miami. I would have locked it, but I was waiting on Miami to see if those guys were playing. As soon as I saw they weren't playing, I jumped on the Baltimore -3 instead of the over. And I think I only had them in 2 teasers, and I didn't have them locked, which pissed me off. But this is the mindset that gets me is, okay, I got the games. I see them in my head. I got them all figured out. Okay, I'm taking the Bears, Detroit. Okay. And then you get, what do I do with Buffalo? What do I do with Baltimore? What do I do with Kansas City? And then everything goes, yeah, Baltimore is going to play. Mahomes is going to play. The Lions are going to play. Baltimore is going to play. And now I got to readjust my thought because I've already put my picks down. I've already put it on paper. I posted. That's what pissed me off about the Georgia game. I had already posted a Notre Dame under, Georgia under. The Notre Dame under wins. The only thing I could do was bet the game over, which I wasn't sure. I gave you a 40-0 score, but I didn't know that the Florida State players quit, or I would have played. Although I did see the line go 18, 19, 20, 21. So I knew something fishy was going on. And had I known the Florida State players were quitting, I would have then bet back instead of the Georgia over. I would have just taken Georgia in the straight bet. I do have a few straight bets out there. Normally they're teasers. The normal straight bet I have are traps. So I've got, like I was going to trap and I would have won the trap on Alabama. I had Alabama in 5 teasers for about $6,000, and I could have taken Michigan minus 1.5 for $4,000, minus 1.5, and it won because Michigan won by 7. But I didn't trap it. I loved Alabama on the 7.5, and I won it that way. But that's what you're looking at is that's when I'll play the straight bet when I've got the Notre Dame or all the Alabama games were in, a lot of pro ones, except for I had an Alabama-Washington lock. And that was we had to wait for Washington there. And I knew because I only had Washington in one play, because I was so absorbed in all the other games, I didn't play a lot with Washington. I knew they'd win because I only had them in one teaser. Alabama, I kind of was sweating a little bit, like, yeah, maybe you bet a little too much on them. But it was such a sure bet that there was never – when I looked at the game, I never thought of taking Michigan. And I really didn't look at over-under. The Alabama dog part just stood out like a big light, the sun. Take Alabama, and it was such an obvious play that I had to take it. And I never thought about over-under, and I never thought about Michigan. And so the over-under in the game, two A teams with an 18 defense and a 10 defense, and the over-under was 45. I would have probably played it under 51 because of Michigan's defense in that, and I would have won 27-20. So it's 20-20 going in, but had Alabama scored at that end, it would have been 54, and I would have lost. That's why I hate about the overtimes. They should just be sudden death. Would you just kick the fucking ball off, let the team either score or punt, and then it's much more exciting that way. In other words, when you give them the ball to 25, what are you doing? You're trying to end the game quickly. Why? It's a fucking championship game. Why would you want to end the game quickly? That's the first problem. And then the second problem is it's kind of defeats the purpose of the whole game because you're giving the ball at the 25. So Michigan runs twice and scores. You're like, that's such bullshit. They didn't do that the whole game. And now you're giving then Alabama gets it to 25. Michigan had a big advantage in the overtime because of the way Milrose is. He gets a little squeezed in the red zone, and he's going to run the ball, but there's not a lot of room to run it. His style, that's why these running quarterbacks have problems, is in the red zone. There's no, you got 10 yards of end zone, that's it. The defense is all huddled in. Very hard for a running quarterback to really break away. As he might at the 50, he might be able to go 50 yards. So it's a really stupid rule. I wish they'd get rid of it. I don't know why anybody thinks this overtime. Give them the ball at the 25 is a good idea. Where the fuck did that come from? Kick the ball off and let them drive down the field. And if they kick a field goal, they win the game. You got a defense to stop them. I don't know what that's so hard about. Anyway, so Michigan, Washington, what we got? 4.5, 55. So when I'm looking, again, it's an even game. I like the dog, of course. And then you get to the 55 over under, and I'm like, well, they played Alabama to a 47, let's say. I don't see them holding Washington under 30. just because of the way they played Texas and Oregon twice and Arizona. They scored a lot of points in those games against those defenses, which are better than Michigan's defense. So I look at Michigan as a 20 defense because that's how they played. Bama to 20, Ohio State to a 24. Penn State, I think, got 17 on them. I don't remember. But in the 3 games that they played, they were a 20 defense. In the other preseason meaningless games, the other 13 that they played, yeah, they were a 9 or 10 defense, holding teams like Bowling Green to 3 points. So they were a very much that Nick Saban did think it was a Baltimore defense that they're playing, which could be because of Harbaugh's brother, coach of Baltimore, probably sent his assistant to run the Baltimore defense on him for Michigan. So that would make it hard, but if anybody can beat it, it's Penix. Believe me, Oregon's running the Georgia defense, and he beat them twice. So, yeah, I know. I keep getting onto that because that's what you need to look at. Michigan beat who, and Ohio, and Washington beat Oregon twice, and now I add Texas and Alabama to the and add Texas and Arizona to the list. Fuck, they beat 4 really good teams, and I'm not sure Alabama deserved to be in there. I think Georgia did. And I'm not sure Alabama was the top 10 team. This was an inept quarterback who they didn't really have running, and the passing sucked. So I'm not quite sure what I saw in Alabama that made him that. And apparently their defense sucked. So if Michigan got lucky, they didn't have Georgia. I think what it was about Nick Saban just sending him off with the national championship, which didn't work. It's so fixed. He gets in like, oh, we'll choose Alabama. Nick Saban. They got a great team, and again, they lose. They lose to LSU. They lost, I think, to Clemson. They lost to Ohio State. Now they lose to Michigan. Yeah, they get there, but they're really not. Georgia was the better team and got fucked. And Michigan would not have beaten Georgia. There's no way. Wouldn't have been close. I mean, if they go 2020 to Alabama, Georgia's defense is a smidgen better than Alabama by like this much. And the quarterback was okay, and they ran the ball down their throat. This would have been Georgia would have won by 20. Anyway, so there you have it. We start Saturday night with Pitt, Baltimore, and Houston and Indy. Pitt needs it, but I'm not sure Baltimore is just going to lay down for him, especially Pitt. If it's Pitt and San Diego, yeah, maybe San Diego lays down, but not Pitt, Baltimore. Baltimore is not going to lay down. They don't want Pitt in the playoffs. And they might get hurt. Well, they all might get hurt. It's fucking football. It's what happens. You get hurt. Go play tennis if you don't want to get hurt. Indy Houston is a playoff game regardless. Winner probably moves on. The loser is done. Game's in Indy. Houston looks pretty good. Stroud against Minshew. To me, it's a fairly even game. Both teams have 22 defenses, and Indy's got a better offense. I got Indy as a home dog. I think that's pretty good. And then you get to Sunday, the 1 o'clock, Detroit Mini. And what do you got? Atlanta, New Orleans. Who that is? Atlanta, New Orleans. Tampa Bay, Carolina, I believe, is 1 o'clock. Then you get to the big 4 o'clock. The Dallas game, the Philly game, the Seattle game, the Green Bay game, LA Frisco, and I think and the Green Bay game. And then you've got the night game, Buffalo, Miami. Miami hurt. Tag with the shoulder and the thumb. They won't sit them out. I mean, it's just if they can play, they'll play. I think they'll play because they really need to win for the division, but they're an over team. They got a 25 defense. Buffalo's a better team, a 20 defense, and they just had a tougher schedule. And Buffalo at Miami, though, so it'll be a little bit different. Miami normally chokes in these games. Tagliabue always chokes in these games. He doesn't win big games. So I think maybe you can go over if you get everybody playing. If Tagliabue and Mozart and Waddle play, this is probably an over 44. If they don't play, it's a Buffalo. Take Buffalo plus the 3. And nowhere do I see taking Miami, and I can't trust them. They get blown out. In these type of games, they tend to get blown out, but they will get us points so we can go over. But I think Buffalo just lets it go. They have to win the division. Who knows if they'll even be able to get a wild? It doesn't matter if they can. If Pittsburgh wins or loses, they still got to beat Miami to win the division. So I think that's really they're going to play regardless. And Miami probably is the one that won't play because they've clinched the wild card. Do they need the division? I don't know. I think they will play, but of anybody, Buffalo's got their back against the wall. Miami does. So basically, backs against the wall. Green Bay must win against my Bears. Jacksonville must beat Tennessee. Houston, Indy, both back against the wall. Buffalo, Miami, both. Buffalo's got the back against the wall a little bit more than Miami because Miami can lose and be in the playoffs. Buffalo probably cannot. Atlanta, New Orleans, playoff game. Philly, they're in the playoffs. They would like to win the division. Seattle, who knows? They're waiting for Green Bay. The Rams, I don't know. They're in the playoffs. Dallas must win to win the division. Otherwise, they're in. Are their backs against the wall? I guess. Tampa back against the wall. If they lose, I don't think they're in the playoffs. They have to beat Carolina and win the division. Their backs against the wall. And Pitt's backs against the wall against Baltimore. They must win, even though it'll force Buffalo to win. They have to win. If they lose, they're out, right? So they must win to get in. And they beat a good Cincinnati team, and last week they beat a good Seattle team. So look for them with Rudolph's playing well. I don't know. We got to keep an eye on the wind on a lot of these games in the East. Very windy. I think you're okay 15 miles an hour and under. Then the wind won't really bother you too much. Where the problem is 20 and over winds, it becomes becomes very hard. And the snow is not too bad unless you get 10 inches. Then you're probably playing an under. But the real wind problem is the wind, not the rain and not really the snow. You can play in it, but you'd rather have a nice clear day if you're going over. Unders, unders, you don't care. It's even better if you get the bad weather, but you're playing under because of the defense. So that is a look at the pros. Teaser trends, Cincinnati. Now I went this year. Now I have 16 weeks, so I have 16 data points on this year. And sometimes I included last year where I could, only in certain teams. So Cincinnati is a big trend against Cleveland. Detroit, Minnesota are pretty even on the trends, but again, there's no trend with Mullins. Golf was here last year, so you got a pretty good Detroit 2-year trend. Chicago, Green Bay, really it's just this year because of Love. This is his first year, and Chicago keeps changing quarterbacks. Jacksonville, Tennessee. Tennessee's 8-0 as a home dog, so be careful there. Philadelphia, 13-1 is a road favorite. They should win the game. They've had trouble, so I look for them to beat the Giants. The Giants got lucky last week against the Rams. A punt return with a punter gets slammed and he stays on his balance, and everybody stopped on the Rams because he got hit so hard. And then an 80-yard touchdown pass. So they really didn't do much. Philly, on the other hand, scores, but they can't play defense. So look for this game. Seattle, Arizona. Big trend on Seattle. Play against Arizona is 12-1, so look for Seattle to win this game as long as they try, which I think they will, because if Green Bay loses, they're in, so they're going to be on the same time, so they got to play to win. Coach Pete will have them going. Play against Kansas City, 31-5 overall the last 2 years, which I can use because I have Reed and Mahomes. 31-5 against. Now, normally it's because of when they're laying 7 and then you tease it up to 13 and they win by 6 or 9 because they're not looking. This isn't college. They're not looking to impress the voters, so they don't try to win by 30. And now San Diego is a 3-point favorite. I think I like Kansas City in 9, even though it's 31-5 against. Frisco, LA. Frisco 15-2 is a home favorite. Dallas, Washington. Nice trend on Dallas. Play against Washington overall 28-5. Play against Washington this year 15-1. With the KC, play against them this year 14-2. And play against Seattle 14-2 against Arizona, but play against Arizona is 13-3. So it's a double there. Let's see, Dallas, Washington. Okay, Tampa, Carolina. Play against Carolina 16-0 in a teaser this year. That's the bottom line. My Stone Cold friends. 16-0 against Carolina. Tampa Bay's 13-3. So this is a good play for Tampa. Mayfield with the hurt ribs he's probable. He'll be going. I got to get out my green pen. Tampa Bay. Here we go. Pitt, Baltimore. Baltimore's 13-3. Pitt doesn't make it. It's got to be like 85% or I don't count it. Rudolph against them. So there's no real teaser trend. Pitt is a lousy road favorite. Baltimore hasn't been a home dog in 2 years, so he can't really. I could go back 5 years maybe, and I could because Lamar's been there and Harbaugh. So that one I could, but see, like Carolina, I can't go back more than a year because Young wasn't there and Howell wasn't at Washington, although Dallas I can go to, which I did. So Dallas is a good road favorite. Everybody has their spot, right? They might be a good home dog. They might be a bad road favorite. A lot of teams are bad road favorites. That's why I kind of lean against them. So anyway, so the teaser trend again, the plays, Minnesota 14-2, Tampa 13-3, the Rams, Dallas, Baltimore, Oakland, and New England are also 13-3 if you bet them in a teaser. Bet against them the teaser, so go the other way. So you see Carolina and you play the other team, 16-0, Washington 15-1, Arizona, Tennessee 13-3, Seattle and Kansas City 14-2, and San Diego 13-3. So funny thing about San Diego, what did we keep bitching about? The coach going for 4th down. In the Minnesota game with a minute left at their own 25, it's 4th and 1. He goes for it. When you do that, you lose the team. The team questions that the coach has the ability to even understand what the fuck football is. You don't do that. You've just given them a turnover with a minute left. You've given them the ball to 24. In what world is that a good play? Well, yeah, if they get it, they win the game. Bullshit. You don't give. That's a huge risk that you're taking, and you didn't get it. So you gave Minnesota the ball at the 25-yard line with a minute and a half left, and they're down 4. What the fuck are you thinking? You punt the ball, and then because then it shows confidence in your defense. When you go for it on 4th down, you said, I don't have any confidence in my defense to stop the other team. That's what you're saying. You're not saying I got a good offense, because if you had a good offense, you'd have gotten the 1st down on 3rd down. So you don't have a good offense, and then you're, look at Oregon, Washington, or Oregon, 50 seconds left in the game. It's 4th and 1 at the midfield, and the idiot goes for it instead of punting the ball. That told their defense, you don't have confidence in me. Punt the ball down to the goal line. Just punt the ball out of bounds. Let them start at the 5-yard line, 10-yard line. Then they got to go 90 yards in about 50 seconds against my defense. It ain't going to happen. I'll give you 100 tries. You'll do it once. That's how you coach. You coach to your strength. Oregon had a great defense. Absolutely, the coach fucked that up. And the result, they're not in the playoffs because they had an idiot coach. San Diego's coach isn't there. I remember Jacksonville had a coach a few years ago, and he kept going for 2 at the end of the game. So they're down 20-13. They scored 20-19, kicked the extra point, go to overtime. No, he goes for 2, 3 or 4 times, and didn't get any of them. Oh, yeah. Where's he now? Oh, yeah, he ain't coaching anymore. You can't be that stupid. You've got to realize the odds of getting a 4th and 1 against certain defenses are almost impossible. Detroit tried it, twice last week, didn't get it. It's maybe works against Washington and Arizona, but it ain't going to work against Philly and Dallas and Baltimore and San Francisco and Kansas City. You ain't making a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. 0% of the time you're making it. So if you're stupid enough to go for it, good luck. Then the Lions throw in a fake punt. I've never seen a team play more high school than the Lions. I mean, this coach is a joke. Anybody likes this coach there, he's a fucking joke. You do fake punts? What are you, crazy? Don't you have a defense? Well, I know the Lions don't. That's the other thing. The Lions really are a 27 defense. They'll be out in the first game in the playoffs because whoever they play, they're going to play what? Green Bay or the Rams. Green Bay's already beat them. The Rams with Stafford's going to light them up. So whoever they play is going to throw it on them. They're fucked. That's the 2 and the 3 seed, Green Bay or the Rams. The 4 seed is at home is Tampa, and they'll get the Philly, Dallas, whoever doesn't win that division. So Philly's probably better to lose and then go to play Tampa and kick Tampa's ass because Tampa sucks than they are to win, and then they get Green Bay or the Rams. Tampa's a far easier but you'd rather than play. That's the advantage. If you win and you're the 2 seed, now you get the home games, right? So you play Green Bay at home, and then you play the next week at home, and that's really the key to it. So it buys you 2 home games if you win. So that's the incentive for Philly and Dallas. So I look for Philly to play them, and then Dallas. I think I'm leaning more towards Dallas than the over-under. I got to put in the win. But anyway, that's exactly what you're looking at. So you have to understand what you're looking at to bet. To play poker, what am I looking at? To play craps, what am I looking? Anything you do to date a girl, what am I looking at? It's all. You got to look at you're looking at the whole picture, and you're going, oh yeah, fuck Philadelphia playing the Giants. They need it for the 2 seed, and they're only laying 5. All right, or Detroit Mini, or any of these, Miami, Buffalo, and then you're looking at the injuries, you're looking at the weather, you're looking at a bunch of stuff. then you make your decision. So you got to go through your little checklist. And it's the same thing in everything else, right? It's, do I buy gold? Why do I buy gold? Well, the money's inflated. Gold, they can't inflate the money. The price is still cheap on gold and silver. So I'm going to buy it because I don't have an option and I can't stay in the dollar. So you go through your little, so the first thing you do is develop the checklist. Once you develop the checklist, so in football, it's okay, Houston's Indy. Okay, is there any injuries? No. Where's the game at? Who's favored? Boom, boom, boom. And that's what you do. Really no trend here because Indy's all over the board. And Houston isn't a road favorite much. And they were a road favorite to Carolina and lost. Let's not forget that. That's why they're in the mess they're in. They lost to fucking Carolina. So you go through your checklist. You do it with women. Is she pretty enough? Is she nice enough? And so you're looking at her looks and personality. Then you go talk to her. There's a feeling out, but do I really want to do anything with this girl? I mean, maybe after talking to her, you go, I don't want to do anything with her. Maybe you do. So that's what you kind of do. So you try to feel all that out. And poker is the same way. And you're just trying to get all that. Daria. So that's really life. Most of it, the trouble most people have is besides the girl, if you're a guy or vice versa, is the money. You don't know how to get to the decision-making process in money. I think that's the biggest problem, right? In money, you where do I put my money? Do I put it in stocks, bonds, at the bank in a CD or money market or an annuity, in a real estate trust, gold and silver? Do I buy euro? That's where they get you, is you don't have an idea how to factor out and get down to what you're looking for, right? So that's really the problem. And that's where everybody has a handicap is I don't know anything about money, but I got $100,000 because I worked. What do I do with it? And you go to a stockbroker who's going to say, well, I want to make commission off of you. So I'm going to tell you to buy stocks or real estate trust. And you're going to go to a financial advisor or a retirement planner or something. He's going to say, well, buy stocks. I get commission there, but he won't say the commission part. Buy stocks, buy bonds, be safe, diversify, buy 7 or 8 things, but they won't tell you about economics or money or how it's worthless or what inflation is, or the only answer is gold and silver. That's what they don't explain to you, is the full range of how do you invest your money. They don't go there. Retirement, fuck, just buy gold. You don't need a retirement. You don't need life insurance. You got gold. You've got life insurance. You've got retirement. You've got the whole thing in gold and silver. It can't be inflated, which means it can't be printed, which means it can't lose its value. The only way is that there's no demand, when the demand's so huge that you never have to worry about that. So that's how you make your decision. It really comes down to competition and supply demand, where the dollar is printed to death, but gold cannot be printed. So the supply of dollars far exceeds the supply for gold and silver. And that's how you really would figure it out from an economic standpoint. Is there demand for gold? Yes. Is there a demand for the dollar? No. People don't want it. They want an alternative, but there isn't one. So that's why BRICS is so intelligent to come out, well, we'll have a gold-backed currency. And then you can come into that, and that'll be the competition for the dollar. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And that's really what you're trying to do, is find competition and something that they can't print. And that's why if they come out with a new dollar that they are printing and it's not backed by gold, it's no difference. You're fucked in that one. CBDCs, they're 10 years away, but if they do come out, if it's not backed by gold, it's worthless. So the longer you can stay away from the government and stay away from things that are printed by monopolies, and the better you stay away from monopolies, the better you're going to be. The safer you are, the more private you are. And that's really, if you notice, they're being tricky by not allowing the gold price to go up and not teaching you about gold. So I don't even know gold is the only thing that you can't lose in, right? You know, it's like the football game. Alabama, you couldn't lose in that. Bet it 1,000 times. That was the surest bet on the board for the whole bowl. So you take Alabama. I gave it to you as a free pick 4 weeks. As soon as it came out, it was Alabama, and we'll give you a pro one. And that's what gold is. Gold's Alabama in that case. Gold can't lose because you can't print it. And unless there's no demand, which there always is for gold, since ancient Rome, you always have demand. Therefore, you always have a price. It can't go to zero. Forget COMEX. You ignore COMEX. And all you can do at this point is buy it cheap, but then you realize Russia, China, and all the central banks are buying gold. So you go, oh, I feel pretty good now. It'll be bought up, and then we can then really get a good price on it. And I think that's the thing. They keep coming out with this phony paper, this bullshit, and they keep distracting you. Magic act. Oh no, buy these instead of gold. Do they go up in value? No. Do they pay a dividend? No. Why the fuck do I want to be in these? Something that gets printed to zero. This is worth 1 cent. So is this. Why would I want to hold these? Well, because that's how they pay you. And that's what they use at the grocery store. They don't use gold. And that's where I just shake my head. So should I not have this card if it's worth $5,000 because there's only a 50 count Mahomes? So it's Mahomes. It's 50 count. Should I not use this because I can't use it at the grocery store? You know, well, it's worth $5,000, but you can't. I can't go to Kroger's and buy tuna with it. Yeah, okay. So I shouldn't hold any assets, right? Okay, that's real smart. You're obviously a genius, and that's my goal. That's the argument about gold. I can't go to the grocery store with it. It doesn't matter. It's worth $2,000 for an ounce. If you need to go to the grocery store, go to the coin store, get your $2,000 for it, and you got $2,000 to go to that. I mean, and when it goes to $5,000, I go to the gold store and I get $5,000 for it, and then I go buy tuna, and the price of tuna has now went from $2 to $20. As we get the inflation. So, and again, inflation is just printing the money. It's all it is. You keep printing it and then it loses value. It's just think about it as dollars a medium of exchange. You work, they pay you that, then you pay your bills with it. That's all a medium of exchange is. That's all a dollar is. But you want to be in gold because they can't. It's a totally different animal. And it'll eventually be the medium of exchange will be gold and silver. And that's the key. And don't worry about silver because as people can't afford gold, they will buy silver because it'll be what's affordable because they have to get out of dollars before they go to zero. So that's really the key to it. Anywho, so that is football and economics and games. So again, with women, with companies, with stock, finance, football, you're going through the critical factors to then decide where to move. So probably like you do in chess, but although I don't understand chess, I know you want to get the king, but the whole strategy part, I have no idea. And nobody explains it very well. So you really don't know. But there's this one girl on YouTube. She plays this 5-minute chess and she keeps making these moves really quickly. And you don't know what the fuck she's doing. And then she wins or loses, and you're like, well, yeah, but what's the point? I didn't learn anything. So anyway, that's what you're looking at is how do I predict a football game? And you're, okay, it's the quarterback, it's the defense, the coach, injuries, weather, all these things. And then now after you went through it, you can choose the women, the money, poker. It's all the same. You got to go through the variables. So you're playing poker. What did they bet? Do they normally check? What's going on here? And you're just, what do I got? Oh, I got pocket kings. Oh, okay. What's the flop? So I bet who called. Why did they call? Okay. Do they normally call? Flop comes. If there's an ace, I got to be slow. Somebody, because people will keep aces to see the flop, and then I'm dead with aces over king. So pay attention to the flop. If it beats you, you got to relax. If it's queen, 9, 6, now I feel really good with my kings. I come out and bet and don't fuck around with kings. Don't check it like you got this monster hand. You don't got, it's nothing. It's just kings. But there's 5 cards out there, and there's a lot of 2 pairs and straights and flushes that beat your kings. So don't slow play them. Then as you get the next card, then you analyze, do I have the best hand? And it's really hard. And that's why I do fake tells, because people are looking at me to see what I got. And you have no fucking idea what I got. And I'm going to walk you over here, and I'm really over here. So you don't know what I got. But that's poker. So it's all reading people. A lot of stuff's reading people. Girls, you're reading people. You say hi to a girl. Does she say hi back to you? I mean, that's important. And then you talk to them, and then you see what they say. But we're all human, and we're all pretty screwed up. So it's very difficult to get a perfect read on it. But that's what you're looking at. Bobby, with your medals. Soon, Bobby, soon. I think that's about it. 4:30. I think I'll have a little dinner. Went to the pool earlier. I know Daria was working yesterday and today. I haven't heard from her, but I know she's working, so I won't be too upset. We're waiting on her passport, which should take 8 to 10 weeks, which she applied for in November, so she should get by the middle of January. And then we'll meet in Turkey, and we've met on WhatsApp and on the internet. We haven't met in person yet, so I'm excited to meet her and ask her, why the fuck do you go 3 days without leaving me a message, which pisses me off. It doesn't piss me off. It's just like you're wondering, how hard is it to get on WhatsApp and say, hi, have a nice day? I can't understand that, but that's the problem. I'm using my mentality that I have time. I'm not working, and she works all day. So that's the problem. Daria, like Chris, I'll show you. I got a nice picture from her New Year's Eve. So she sends me this. So she's got her Christmas tree and her little Christmas antlers. So she sends me a couple pictures. And everything's good. Have a nice day. Da, 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 da. That was Sunday. And then Monday's Christmas Day. I don't hear from her. But I assume the biggest problem, I think, Bobby, is I am here and the time change. Because I know when I was in Germany, and it's like it's 6 hours ahead. So right now it's 4 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock in Germany. So the day's already done. So when you wake up in Germany at 8 o'clock, it's 4 in the morning. Or no, 6. It's 2 in the morning here, right? No, 8 o'clock. So it's 2 in the morning. Well, you're out and about in your day. You're having breakfast. You're going to lunch. You're going shopping. And then finally at about 4 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock here. So that's really the critical part is so her days, when I'm waking up, it's 4 or 5 o'clock because I think it's 7 or 8 hours to Russia. So it's already 5 o'clock. She's already done her day. And I've already texted her, I'm going to sleep or something. Then I see the difference is I text her, I'm going to sleep, have a nice day. And then when I wake up, I'm up. And I sometimes get a response, sometimes don't. When she's working, she says, I can't talk to you. They're really strict at work. So now I'm like, I know she's working today, but you don't get the feedback. Yeah, she's in St. Pete. So that's the one I'm going to meet in Turkey. And so Jenna's in the Ukraine. And so anyway, I have a hard time comprehending why she can't take 5 seconds to say, hi, dear, have a nice day. I'm fine. Nice to hear from you. And a lot of it is I'm thinking is that she's not just like I'm waking up, I'm alone, and I'm thinking of her where she's with her daughter or she's at work and it's 4 or 5 o'clock. Like now it's probably 11:30 there or midnight almost. So she's busy with the daughter or done with work. She probably just wants to go home and go to sleep. And she tends to go to sleep a lot. She's tired a lot because, it's Russia. I mean, it's probably can't afford a lot of food like we can. So that's why I help her out. But anyway, so, why aren't you texting? Well, she's busy between working and the daughter. And then maybe like Christmas Eve, she sent me that. But then Christmas Day, she probably went to the friend's house. I don't think she watched the football games, but she probably went to the friend's house. And so she's not thinking about me. She's with her friends or her daughter or something. So she's doing something. But I'm home alone. I don't understand that. And we're probably more communicative. And I'm the man, she's the woman. So I'm probably texting her more. So, when I get this 3 days now, I'm like, are you okay? Like, why can't you take 30 seconds to text me? But it's probably it's a Russian culture. It's the way she is. She says, I'm not like the Russian men. I go, well, kind of. My grandfather was born in Minsk. And in the 1920s, during the Russian Revolution, he fled to Canada. And so my mom was born in Canada. And then she moved to Detroit and met my dad. And then they had me. So kind of am a Russian, well, a little bit of Russian blood in me, I guess, from my grandfather. So that, but I'm not cultured Russian, a little bit probably, but more cultured US. So that's the thing. I had this interesting thought, Bobby, on all these different languages, right? The Czechs, the Germans. I go to Germany, they're all speaking German. I go to France, they're all speaking French. And at first I said, why don't we all speak the same language? It would make it easier. And then it dawned on me, they don't want us to know what they're talking about, right? They want to talk French. They want to say, fuck you. I'm not telling you what I'm thinking. And then it hit me, and it's the same thing with money. If you notice, most countries have their own money, except for the euro, and they want it that way. They want their own little world, and that's why this whole one world government, one world money will never work. The only problem that Egon has is he says, well, there'll never be one money for all these countries, and that's where he's missing the point. If it's a BRICS gold-backed money, like right now, all the countries use their own and use US, right? So Switzerland has the Swiss franc, but they also use the US dollar. So I don't see so the Swiss franc won't go anywhere, but instead of the US dollar, it'll be the BRICS gold-backed currency that will be the option, and everybody will go into it. So I don't know why Egon's missing that point. The hell, I got a bug. Something's flying around. So that's really what I noticed. So that's why they all speak different. They don't, you're in Russia and they're speaking Russian. They don't want you to understand what the hell they're saying. So I think it's a lot of that. So it is kind of confusing. But anyway, so I think that's about it. And have a nice day. Good luck. We're watching the gold and silver. I keep trying to find something with bricks and gold. That's why I got Daria looking into if Putin says something about the gold standard, we'll know about it from her. He'll have to tell the citizens, take your rubles to the bank and you'll get gold backed currency. And the good thing is she'll start getting paid in gold backed currency instead of the rubles. So right now, if I help her with food, I give her $100 and it's like 90 to 1 the FX rate. So she gets like, I give her $100, she gets like 9,000 rubles, but it doesn't buy her anything. You're welcome, Bobby. Have a nice night. And take care. Probably be about the same time. We'll get a little bit more focus with football as we get near the end of the week on the injuries, but pretty much the puzzle's starting to come together and I'm seeing what's going on. I think a little bit with the wind, like Buffalo, Miami, I would like it over unless there's a strong wind or some of these other games. Pitt, Baltimore, I would prefer it over if it's not too windy. Anyway, have a nice night. Time for dinner. And www.teaserking.com. $100 buys you the rest of the football package and the Michigan-Washington game. So have a good night. Hope you're healthy and enjoy. And buy your gold and silver because it's not going to be this low for much longer. All right. Take care, everybody.